Hi, my name is Dr. King. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Florida, and I own and operate Aya Psychological and Wellness Services. I'm here because I would like to talk today about election and political anxiety. I decided to do this series because several of my clients are expressing a lot of anxiety about the upcoming elections and the results of said elections and if they voted the right way or the wrong way. And I looked for resources to help them, and I didn't find anything that I thought was appropriate or just got straight to the point. So I'm going to get straight to the point, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to manage your election or political anxiety right now. The first thing I'm going to suggest to you is literally turn it off. Turn it off. Okay? CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Fox and Friends, everything. All of these sources of information, news sources or not, turn it off. If you have gotten your fill for the day, turn it off. And the reason I'm suggesting this is because these type of entities will discuss these things ad nauseum because the emotional appeal to you keeps you glued to the TV and is great for their advertisers. That's just the reality of it, right? So the longer that they can keep you engaged, the longer and the more you are likely to be exposed to whoever advertises on their platforms, whether it's a television show or I'll talk later about social media, but turn it off. Understand that the longer you engage, you are really just being kind of like a consumer and you are being emotionally ensnared and it's doing literally nothing for you. Most people at this point in time have already decided who they're going to vote for, how they're going to vote. You don't need any more information at this point, especially if you're pretty solid in what you're going to do. So why are we continuing to expose ourselves to this? It makes absolutely no sense. Turn it off. The next thing I'm going to suggest is schedule time that is intentional and purposefully so. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you are intentionally placing activities in your day that are specifically for the purposes of edifying yourself. Edifying is a fancy word to mean building yourself up, right? They are intentionally meant to bring you peace and calm. These are intentional actions. You don't necessarily absolutely need to put it on a calendar, but if that helps, you can do that. But you do need to be intentional about what you're doing with your day. If you have a dog, pet your dog. If you have a cat, snuggle with your cat. If you like going outside, the view outside my office is gorgeous. Yes. If you have a view, take some time, unplug yourself, reconnect and ground yourself with things that are real and feel good. That could be hugging a partner. That could be connecting with your kid. That could be, like I said, hugging your dog, your cat. That could be reading a book that you find to be funny. Take the time to be intentional about what you are doing with your time and make sure that it is to build you up and or to calm you down. Be intentional with your time. My next suggestion is exactly what I just said. So be intentional with your time and your exposure, right? Don't allow yourself to become a doom scroller. Rather, while you're scrolling, and you're being inundated with content, especially on any social media platform, ask yourself, is this really what I want to be doing right now? Is this really where I want my emotional energy to be going right now? Is this even the emotional energy that I want to be in right now? If it is not, right, be mindful of the fact that that is not what you want to do and make a conscious choice to change directions, to do something else, right? To be intentional about what you're spending your time with. So this one is linked to the last one, which was to schedule time or make time for intentional actions that are calming and intend to edify or build you up. Ready for the next one? Okay. So this next thing is also an intentional action, and it is actually expose yourself to things that give you hope. Hope in whatever direction you personally prefer, right? So it could also be a movie that you like, or a story that you like, or being around people that are hopeful, being around people that are not so politically drunk, we'll call it that, that's all that they can talk about, right? Look for things that you want to do in the future that you are going to enjoy, right? So be intentional about exposing yourself to things that foster hope. And for you, that could be reading the Bible. It could be immersing yourself in scripture. For someone else, it might be planning a trip. For someone else, it might be planning to spend time with friends or a loved one. It might be, again, reading a book, reading something funny, literally looking for articles. You can go online right now and choose. You could Google like positive articles, positive news, happy things, cute puppies, whatever, and expose yourself to that content. So be intentional about the things that you expose yourself to, and watch and expose yourself to things that foster hope and positive feelings and positive sentiment. Next strategy I suggest is create periods of peace. And that is kind of related to meditation, right? Create points in time in your day where you're really not doing anything, right? You're not talking on the phone with anybody. You're not expending any energy entertaining anybody else. Where you're literally spending time pouring into yourself, giving yourself time to turn off the thought machine, to turn off, all the things that you have to do. Create periods of peace. And they're really easy to find. Periods of peace may look like the 5 minutes that every parent knows that I'm talking about, that you sit in your car before you go into the house. A period of peace may look like you walk out of the grocery store and you notice that the sky is really blue and it's really pretty outside, and you just take 30 seconds to admire it, or 10 seconds to admire it. A period of peace could be awareness that the sun feels good on your skin, or that the breeze is really nice, or that the climate and the weather today is really, really nice, which it is. Actually, it's really nice today. So create those periods of peace, or rather, I would even go so far as to don't worry about creating them, but be mindful and notice them and immerse yourself in them. Give yourself permission to notice them and enjoy them. You have to do that, okay? All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so my next strategy is don't lose track of the big picture and simultaneously your capacity to problem solve. So let's talk about the big picture. The big picture is that regardless of which candidate wins or what things are, amendments are passed, or who is voted into the Senate or not, and what judge goes where, and regardless of all of those things, right? The big picture is that the world is bigger than just the United States. The United States is bigger than just your county. Your county is bigger than just your little neighborhood, right? So remember the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that this is the United States of America, and all states will not operate the same. And this is where the point of your capacity to problem solve comes in, because regardless of what happens, this election cycle does not suddenly make you incapable of solving problems. It doesn't suddenly make you incapable of making decisions and choices that are in your personal best interest, right? So, hey, listen, some people are talking about leaving the country, which is conversations that were discussed, in the last election cycle, in the last presidential election cycle, and the cycle before that. That was a lot of topic in the cycle before that, actually. So do you have your passport? Like, all jokes aside, do you have your passport? If you really, really want to leave, if you genuinely feel in your heart of hearts that you want to leave, look at the big picture and do not discount your capacity to problem solve. If you are no longer happy where you are, you're no longer happy in your neighborhood, in your county, in your city, in your state, in your country, you don't have to stay in any of those places. You have the capacity, more than likely, to be creative enough to figure out a way to solve your problem. And if it's not something as big and grand as leaving and moving, It may be something as simple as, again, what am I going to expose myself to? How am I going to navigate my way through the next 4 years or until the next election cycle? Don't forget that you will still continue to have the capacity to express yourself and your voice, right? So don't discount your ability to problem solve. Don't discount that. And don't discount your ability to be resilient in the face of adversity, whichever side you happen to be on. Okay. No matter what, you're going to get through this moment. And we're going to, as human beings, as a civilization of humans, we're going to get through this election cycle. It's going to happen. It will pass. People will be placed in seats wherever they are, whoever they are, and then time will move on. So we all have the capacity for movement, and we all have the capacity, thankfully, for problem solving. The next one I want to say is focus on maximizing your interpersonal connections, the ones that are worthy of your time and are emotionally supportive to you. Focus on maximizing and focusing on your personal health and your personal growth. The thing about politics and elections is that it reconnects us back to us as members of a larger society, right? Us as members of a larger earth and a larger world that has to deal with other human beings. And sometimes that is just too big of a bite to bite. It's too big of a bite to chew, right? So you kind of have to you have to shrink things down to its smallest denominator. And the smallest denominator in your life is you. So what you need to do, or what may be helpful rather, I don't like telling people what they need to do. I do like doling out what might be helpful. What may be helpful is for you to focus on your circle, your microcosm, your mini environment, right? So where will I find those interpersonal connections that make me feel supported, make me feel safe, actually are safe for me, actually are places of support? Forget feeling, they genuinely are, right? Focus on maintaining and pouring into those type of interactions. Focus on your personal health, exercise, get some fresh air. Focus on your personal growth. Are you in school right now? Should you be worrying about the election, or should you be studying? Should you be worrying about who's going to get the Senate seat or the judge, or could you be lifting weights, or could you be learning a new skill, learning a new craft? Could you be engaging in a hobby, right? These are things or engaging in the discrete tasks associated with a hobby, or even learning a new hobby. These are things that you can actually do that are specific to your capacity for personal control, right? So take yourself, ironically, right? Instead of looking at the big picture, look at the small picture. That's you and your literal day-to-day life, the moment by moment moments of your life. So focus on those discrete, smaller things rather than trying to take a big chunk out of understanding everything that's going on societally within an entire country or even on the entire planet. It's too much. Okay, so relatedly, another tip I have is seek that which you can control in a way that is not damaging or harmful to yourself or other people. So what can you control, right? You can control a lot of the things we just talked about. You can control whether or not you are going to engage on Instagram. You can control whether or not you are going to watch CNN. When a political ad comes up, thankfully, you can control the volume. You can turn it down. You can control whether you're going to read content. 5-6 words into the content, you can decide, you know what? Actually, I don't want to be watching this. I would rather not be spending my time, again, emotional energy, psychological and brain work. I don't want to be responding to these people in the comment. You can control these things. So seek things that you can control and engage in that. And that goes back to the previous thing, which was like things like your personal health. Do you want to pick up a hobby? Are you tired, right? Take a nap. Do these things that you can control. Focus on the smaller picture, which is you and your small environment, the immediate environment, and the immediate things that are going on in your day-to-day life, and exert some meter of control over those things. So we know that apps and social media can be very difficult. So I did take the liberty of looking. I'm not sponsored by any of these people. I'm just doing this for my clients, and anybody else who might need it. Heck, I need it. But I did find some apps that if you feel like your apps, you just have no self-control at all, there's an app for that, or there's several apps for that. So I looked up and I found some apps. I'm going to read them off. One of them is called Anti-Social. Another one is called Moment. Another one is called Social Fever. Another one is called App Block. AppBlock. And the last one I found is called Freedom. And there's actually a lot more. And these apps can actually track your usage, or actually more importantly, give you an alert and be like, you've been on Instagram for an hour. You've been on TikTok for 45 minutes. You've been on Snapchat for 30 minutes. Is this really what you want to be doing? And that's great, because that kind of cue might be just what you need to be like, let me be mindful of about what I'm doing. Let me get off of this thing and be intentional about what I'm doing with my time. So you might want to download an app or offload some apps. So delete Instagram from your page or from your dashboard page on your phone. Delete Snapchat, delete CNN, delete the Apple News app, delete it, right? Or rather offload it, because guess what? You know how to find it, but sometimes you just need like that small little barrier to break the automaticity of picking up your phone and just tapping the app. You need that small little thing in between that gives you just a tiny little bit of pause, that gives you a window of opportunity for you to change your mind about what you're going to spend your time doing. So literally download an app to help you control your apps, or offload some apps, get rid of them so that they're not even there to tempt you, or you have to put an effort in order for you to actually engage or engage with them. Okay. Another app related suggestion I have is most apps at this point, whether it's like Snapchat, even YouTube, Instagram, most apps, websites, even on your homepage. A lot of us have homepages on our computer. As soon as you open up the internet, it's like this slideshow of news events. Most of them have a section or an area where you can tell the algorithm of the said app that you're not interested in that. And if you're over the politics, if you are absolutely over the politics, I would suggest that every time a political something or other comes up, that you take the opportunity, you find it. Sometimes it's like 3 dots in a corner or a feedback option, and you can literally tell the computer, you can tell the website, you can tell the news algorithm or whatever that I'm not interested in this. On Instagram, it literally is that. There's 3 dots above any picture, reel, video, and you click on that and you can choose, I am not interested in this content. And by communicating with the algorithm will stop pumping this information to you. However, you have to be mindful, because if you start watching that content again, guess what? The algorithm is like, oh, you were just kidding. And it will put that type of content back in your feed. So if you're over it, completely and totally over it, make sure you're communicating that to whatever internet-based platform that you find yourself using, because all of these things have been coded to monitor your activity, not in a Big Brother way, but kinda, to monitor your activity for monetization, right? So again, like I said at the top, the more they keep you engaged, the more they can throw ads at you, the more money the advertisers make, the happier those people are. So keep in mind that a lot of these things are specifically intended to manipulate and to grab you emotionally. And when you realize that, you can stop being a sucker and you can say, actually, I don't want to see this kind of content at all. So talk to the algorithm, let it know that you're not interested, and, take control over what you do see and what you are exposed to. final thing that I would suggest is seek professional help. So we know that, being addicted to phones and feeling like you can't get off and having issues with concentration and focus is a real thing. These are real problems that people really struggle with, or having anxiety anyway. And this current election cycle, or just whatever is going on in terms of the world, just exacerbates that anxiety. It makes you feel less like you're in control. Sometimes it's important to seek help. And sometimes you need to seek objective help. That means not your homeboys, not your friends, your brothers, your cronies, sometimes, no offense to the church, not your pastor, right? Sometimes you do need to seek professional help and work with a person like myself who is specifically trained to help people get through these types of moments that feel like crisis, that feel like they're overwhelming, that feel like you can't get out of this hole and you cannot breathe. Literally, some people, that's what it feels like when you have a panic attack. So if you are feeling like this, you need to seek professional help, and you need to get help with someone that you feel like is able to and competent enough, can't even say competent, but is able to and competent enough to, and compassionate enough to help you and listen to what your problems are, but also, again, is competent enough to actually help you, right? So I am a licensed clinical psychologist. That means that I have a PhD in clinical psychology. This means that I have done an extensive amount of work, academic study, research, practical applications with real people and other human beings, providing therapy. And the whole point of therapy is to help people navigate through difficult times. And if this is a particularly difficult time for all kinds of reasons, whether it's just you're sick of the news, your anxiety is turned to the nth degree, you're having existential concerns, things are happening in the family, you just got a lot of anxiety, please seek help. I am accepting new clients. I'm almost always accepting new clients. I am a cash only or FSA, HSA only practice. I do not take insurance, but I do help people get reinsurance reimbursements if they happen to have out-of-network insurance. But, seek help, because your mental health is not a luxury. And in times like this, sometimes it's good to have a place where you can objectively offload all of this junk so that you can then go back out there, in the real world, back outside in the real world and function. So I hope these tips were helpful. It was a lot. I hope I got straight to the point. And if you're looking for me, again, the name of my practice is Aya, AYA, Psychological and Wellness Services. And I am located in the Carrollwood area of Tampa, Florida. And I'm Dr. Kenya King. And I look forward to maybe new clients coming through, or at least your feedback. And hopefully this was helpful to you or someone that you love. And I wish you all the best in your mental health moving forward. Have a great day.